What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. I kind of want to continue in the same vein that last couple episodes have gone down. In terms of like changing characters, things of that nature. Today, and some other stuff about Mistborn and the movies that are coming out, and the Stormlight Archive show that's supposed to be, I think it's on Apple TV or Apple Plus or whatever. But no, I kind of want to talk about some more character assassinations that showrunners have done to absolutely ruin characters that they don't understand or just don't care about. And I kind of want to talk about Matrim Cauthon from The Wheel of Time and just what the show has done to absolutely deconstruct and destroy this character. And he's not even the biggest offender. Alan Mandragoran's another one that comes to mind. But just how they took this boy who was a trickster, a prankster, he was always getting in trouble, but for small things, stealing pies off of windowsills and things like that. Sicking badgers on people, putting flour on, Master Luhan's dogs to have him run around and make a big old mess to try to prank the kids, the younger children in the village that they grew up in the Two Rivers. And what the show did to just absolutely ruin him and reduce him to a liar and a thief that worked with Podon Thane to steal things from the town and use Podon Thane as a vehicle to fence all these stolen goods that he had gotten from the town, and which really, he's it's a very small town. Two Rivers is not a big village. So small, in fact, that most people don't even live in the Two Rivers. They live on farms and homesteads outside of the town, and they all congregate there. It's another thing that they just didn't convey in the show. And I know the show's been out for a while, and I know a lot of people have harped on this, but I think that there's just certain things about the differences between the show and the movie that a lot of people kind of just glaze over, and they don't really take the time to dive in. A lot of videos talking about the Wheel of Time, the differences they don't even talk about the differences between the show and the book. They actually they talk about the bad pacing of the show. The show wasn't even good alone. People that had never read the books didn't like the show, which is part of a much larger issue at in the big scheme of things. Because if you're making a show, or you're making a new way to consume this product, right? If you're making a new way to consume this media, then the only reason you would want to do that would be for the people that made it popular in the first place. And it always kills me to hear people say, "Oh, well, it's not for you. This isn't for you. It's for a new audience." Well, the new audience isn't going to watch it or buy it or play video games or whatever if the old audience isn't going to introduce them to it. Does that make sense? I'm trying to think of an instance. Harry Potter. Okay, we'll just use Harry Potter. And I know I've talked about Harry Potter. But if the new series is bad, I'm not going to have my son watch it. I'll have him watch the old movies, and I'll have him read the books. But the new show isn't going to get any of our attention. Does that make sense? So he's not gonna. The new stuff is still going to fail if they're not being faithful to the source material and not showing respect for the fans that made it so popular in the first place. Rafe Junkins, the showrunner for Wheel of Time, tried to downplay people's grievances with the show, and when he tried to go on to Reddit and do a AMA, people, with some of the questions people were asking, he just didn't even have answers for. He just, it's a new turning of the wheel. Oh, okay. But if you actually read the books and you cared about the source material, if you paid respect to the source material, you would know that if Rand al'Thor, in the time where the dragon reborn as Rand al'Thor, if he makes any other decisions other than the decisions made in the book, he fails. It's not a different turning of the Wheel of Time that we're seeing if it's one where he confronts the Dark One at the end and wins. And he doesn't, that's just something he doesn't get. There's a whole scene where Rand al'Thor is being shown visions of him making different choices in his life and things going poorly for him. But they don't care. But, like I said, Matt Cawthon, Matt being this trickster, rogue, devil with this devil-may-care attitude, is what makes him such an important character. The ruby dagger holding, and they even ruined that. They ruined so much that made those books so great, down to just the appearance of the swords. The heron mark blades are just these cheap katanas that just the props look so bad. What were they doing? What were they even thinking, man? And like I said, that guy didn't care about the source material. He openly stated he didn't care about the source material. But I think this is a series I'm going to continue on for a while, because I think I'm going to go just character by character. And so today's subject character is Matrim Cawthon. And the Matrim in the show is not the Matrim that would sacrifice his eye to save Moiraine. That's it. He's not that guy. He's a petty thief that only cares about himself and runs away at the first sign of struggle. And that's not Matrim Cawthon in the books. Okay, Matrim in the books jumped into a pond to save somebody that he thought was drowning. And then everybody made fun of him for it. But when the time came that somebody had actually been drowning, Matt jumped into the pond again to save him. He was a trickster and he was a prankster, but he was always honest. And he was never just out for himself. He was never so petty. Anyway, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see them make a mockery out of these. I mean, just these great works of fantasy writing. It's a shame, really. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with the Mistborn movies. We'll really have to see what happens with the Stormlight series. And on that note, I don't have any faith in Stormlight as a series, especially live action. It's going to look bad. I think it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna do well. It's not gonna translate well to live action because there's just so much fantastical stuff happening. Even the most mundane thing about Roshar the it's not, there's no, it's all going to have to be shot on stage, because there's no place, right? There's no on-site there's no on-location shooting that they could do that would make me go, they're on Roshar. No, the Earth just doesn't look like that. Roshar is way different. Obviously, the whole landmass is one single continent across the whole planet. I don't think they're going to be able to convey the majesty of the storms. The high storms are just going to, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do. I think it's going to look bad. Again, like I said, I don't think that it translates well to live action. I don't think it's going to, especially when they're summoning shard blades and once Kaladin gets his armor and just everything that happens. Again, like everything that happens, the chasm fiends. They're just going to be swinging at nothing. It's going to look weird. When Dalinar and Adolin are fighting the chasm fiend to save why can't I think of his name? The king. I can't think of his name. But when they're trying to save him and they're fighting that chasm fiend and he's running and he catches it, I don't think they're going to be able to convey that. And I don't think that I don't have faith in it. And I think that it would have been better off as animated. I think it would have been way better to see like 20 episodes, 45 minutes apiece of an animated film rather than what we're going to get with a live action. Not to mention the characters. From the beginning of book 1 to the end of book 5, it's only been a couple of years. So we're going to get people that are going to age every season now. And by the time we get to season 5, they're going to be 6-7 years older than when we saw season 1. And again, Kaladin's only supposed to be like 19 years old when he gets to the Shattered Plains. I don't know. And not to mention finding younger actors to do the flashback scenes. I don't know. Anyway, that does it for me. Those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.